So this recipe isn't your typical rice recipe, and which is why I wanted to include it. It's something different. It has so many different elements and flavors in it, but so easy to put together. One of the key ingredients that we're so fortunate, we've been getting fresh pumpkin, and we roast them, and they're unbelievably delicious. You can roast them up and eat them just like this. They're so sweet, and they're packed with beta carotene and vitamin A. I mean, it has such a bright orange, beautiful color to it. You can just see that it's packed full of nutrients, and the flavor, like I said, is just really delicious. We've been making soups with it, and I don't need to do much to them because the pumpkin tastes so delicious, so creamy. So in this recipe, we're going to be using some different spices, not anything that you don't normally have in your kitchen, but one of the ingredients that it calls for is nutmeg, and I always use fresh nutmeg here in the cafe, and it's basically a seed that you can grate, and the whole piece is edible, so nothing goes to waste. And you can use just a household grater. As you can see in a lot of these recipes, we've been using microplanes and graters. It's a really super handy tool to have in the kitchen. And basically, all you do, the seed itself is so soft that it grates really easily, and it doesn't take much in a recipe with nutmeg. It's a very powerful spice. I mean, I can really smell the fragrance coming from it, and we're only looking at about a quarter of a teaspoon. So I'm just going to add that to our our ginger and allspice that I already have measured out here. We're doing a quarter teaspoon of each. And so the other thing that we need is some chopped garlic. I've already pre-chopped the onion. You have your onions chopped. We're gonna smash some garlic and blend it up, and it's not gonna hurt if any of this gets incorporated in there. I'm gonna put a tad bit of salt on the garlic to keep it from bouncing around on the cutting board. And we're just going to chop this up. Remember to keep your fingers in sort of a claw-like position. You don't want to lose any fingernails or nubs. We'll get that chopped up pretty fine. You can always add this to a little mini food processor if you like. Cutting garlic can be kind of therapeutic. If you want to reduce the size of it, and you can always press down and spread your knife across the board, and it's going to smear the garlic. You want to use the back of your knife to bring it all together. We don't want to use our sharp edge because we don't want to dull the blade. And that helps to mash the garlic a little bit more and bring out some of the oils. So I think that's a good mince. So we're going to incorporate our ingredients in our pan and get our rice cooking. So we want to start with a heated pan, and we're going to add our oil to the pan once it's heated. And you want it at about a medium heat. We're going to add our avocado oil. We'll let that warm up just a tad. And then we're going to add our onion and our garlic, and we're going to saute this for just 3 to 4 minutes until the onion becomes translucent and the flavors come out in the garlic. So I'm going to add my diced onion to the pan. And I'm going to add my garlic. And then we're going to add our spices. So now that this has cooked for about 3 minutes, it's got a nice translucent color to it. We're going to add our spice mix to the onions, and when frying up spices in oil helps to highlight their flavors and make them more pungent, bringing those oils out, and I can smell already how they're starting to incorporate. So we just want to do that for about 30 seconds or so. You don't want to do it for too long. You don't want to burn the spices. And then we're going to add our coconut cream to the mixture. And then we're going to add in our creamed pumpkin. So we're going to add in a couple of cups of our pumpkin mixture, which is going to give the rice a really beautiful color and flavor with those spices. Perfect dish for a cold winter day. Once that's all incorporated, you can see it has a very pretty creamy color to it. We're going to add our water. And then we're going to rinse off our rice. Rinsing the rice helps to remove a little bit of the starch and anything that might have been on the rice. You don't always want to rinse rice, because if you're making like a Japanese rice, making rolls or making sticky rice, the idea is to have more starch in the recipe, so you don't necessarily want to rinse it. But in this particular case, we're going to rinse it and add it to our mixture. We're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And then we're going to cover this, and we're going to let it cook for about, I would say, 20 to 25 minutes. And all the water should be evaporated. We'll check on it. We're going to let it simmer. So we'll get a cover on this. We'll let it simmer for about 25 minutes, and then we'll give it a check. So, the rice is complete. I will tell you it took me about 25 to 30 minutes. I let it cook for 25. I turned it off, and then I let it sit on the stove. I have gas, so it tends to stay warm and keep cooking. But it is complete. This is what your rice will look like. It's very creamy, sort of sticky, custardy consistency. So it has a strong earthy flavor to it. Very comforting, very delicious.